The psychological impact, how witnesses' lives changed. As officials continued their bureaucratic ballet between agencies, thousands of witnesses struggled with a far more personal dilemma. How do you integrate an impossible experience into your understanding of reality? For many professionals like Dr. Lynne Kitai, this question would ultimately transform their entire lives. I was not a UFO enthusiast, Dr. Kitai emphasized in her documentary. I was actually quite skeptical about the whole phenomenon. As a respected physician directing the preventive medicine program at the Arizona Heart Institute, she had built her career on evidence-based science. Yet her direct observations of the Phoenix Lights phenomenon utterly transformed her life trajectory. I actually gave up my medical career to pursue understanding what this phenomenon was, she revealed, abandoning 2 decades of prestigious medical practice to investigate something that challenged her entire worldview. This radical professional pivot affected others similarly. Commercial airline pilot Jim Babbage described his internal crisis. When you see something that essentially shouldn't exist according to everything you've been taught, it creates a kind of cognitive earthquake. I questioned whether I should report what I saw, knowing it could affect how people perceive my judgment in the cockpit. For witnesses with technical expertise, the conflict between observation and explanation created particular distress. Richard Contino, with his military aviation background, found himself obsessively researching aircraft capabilities after his sighting. I kept thinking I must have missed something. I spent months looking for explanations and came up empty. That's when I realized this thing had fundamentally changed how I understand what's possible. The psychological impact often followed a distinct pattern. Initial excitement or terror during the sighting gave way to confusion, followed by an urgent need to validate the experience. Retired Police Sergeant Robert Deo noted, "First, you're stunned by what you're seeing. Then you question your own perception. Finally, you desperately want someone else to confirm they saw it too, for your own peace of mind." This validation seeking created what psychologists later identified as confirmation communities, groups of witnesses who found each other after the incident. Susan Watson, who photographed the lights from North Phoenix, explained, "Before connecting with others who saw it, I was starting to question my own sanity. The relief when I heard identical descriptions from complete strangers was overwhelming. It was salvation for my sense of reality." These informal support networks eventually formalized into regular meeting groups throughout Arizona. The Phoenix Lights Network, founded in 1998, became a central hub where witnesses could share experiences without fear of ridicule. Psychologist Dr. Gary Schwartz, who studied the impact on witnesses, noted, "These communities served a crucial therapeutic function. Witnesses experienced reality shock, the psychological distress that occurs when direct experience contradicts one's fundamental understanding of how the world works. For many witnesses, the Phoenix Lights created a stark division in their lives, a split-second fracture in reality that permanently separated their before and after selves." Tim Lay, whose family watched the V-shaped craft pass directly overhead, explained, "There's who I was before March 13th, and who I became after. The change was about recognizing how fragile our consensus reality actually is, how quickly everything you think you know can be upended." The transformation extended to close relationships. "My husband didn't see it. He was inside," recalled Bonnie Lewis. "Our marriage struggled for months afterward because we suddenly lived in different realities. He couldn't understand why I couldn't just move on from what I'd seen." For professionally credible witnesses, speaking publicly often came with significant costs. Former air traffic controller Mark Schaffner described being marginalized after discussing radar anomalies. "Colleagues started questioning my reliability. It didn't matter that I had 20 years of spotless service. Once you're associated with UFOs, everything you say becomes suspect." This professional risk created a secondary trauma, the inability to speak their truth without consequences. Military veteran Jack Wilson found this more disturbing than the sighting itself. "I saw something that contradicted my training, but I could process that. What I couldn't process was being told I should keep quiet about it to protect my reputation." The experience transformed many casual observers into dedicated researchers. Dr. Kitai's path from physician to investigator exemplifies this. "I never intended to write a book or produce a documentary," she explained, "but the need to understand what happened became all-consuming." Her transition from skeptic to advocate wasn't motivated by belief in extraterrestrials but by the need to reconcile her direct experience with scientific understanding. This pattern repeated across fields. Aeronautical engineer Mark Rodefer abandoned his focus on conventional aircraft design to study advanced propulsion theories. Before the Phoenix Lights, I dismissed alternative propulsion concepts as science fiction. Afterward, I realized our current understanding of physics might be far more limited than I'd been taught.